Yesterday, I talked about my second lesson, which is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And today, I want to talk about the third lesson, which is asking for help. Time out is essential. Being able to get the connection and perspective that we desire with our children is really, really dependent on us being able to get a bit of time to ourselves. It goes without saying that we do everything for our child. We're always looking to meet the needs of our children, but we often neglect our own needs in the process. And this is particularly true for parents with high needs children, because often the demands that are exacted on you are so much greater. So therefore, the need for that time out is more essential. However, it can also be a bit tricky as well, because the normal avenues of support that are often available for other parents are not necessarily available to you. It might be harder to put your child into a holiday club or to find more specialist groups for your child. Your support network, your parents, for example, or your extended family might be a little bit more reluctant to look after your children. Playdates may be less forthcoming, so the intensity of parenting is exacerbated by the lack of time available to recalibrate. So there are a few things that I am starting to do. The first thing is to be more assertive in asking for help. And sometimes that means that we have to be a little bit more honest about how our mental health is. Sometimes I really have to say to those closest to me, my family, my partner, I'm really suffering right now. I really need you to help right now. My mental health is really struggling. And it's really difficult sometimes to do that, but I really recommend doing it. You really need to alert those people that actually you really need their help, even if it means that they have to change their plans. Because there's a reason why we say it takes a village to raise a child, because it really does. And often we burden the responsibilities and the difficulties of parenting these children just on our shoulders, and we need to share it out. So that's the first thing I'm learning to do, is to be more assertive about it and not to feel guilty in the process. So if you can't get the help from those close to you, then put the word out to ask for more specialised holiday clubs or playgroups that are perhaps more experienced at dealing with these types of children. I've just done that recently, and it's been a real lifeline, because I can leave my child there and not worry that their needs aren't going to be met. So put the word out for that. This leads me on to my next point, which is identifying those safe people or communities where you can really let those emotions out, safe in the knowledge that you're not going to be judged by others. I've recently found, for example, a few online communities which have been really, really helpful, not only in allowing me that kind of space to talk about the kind of experiences I'm going through with my child, but also to get that sort of recognition and get that validation, which is really important because it helps you feel that you're not alone in your experience. If you don't feel comfortable in those communities, then one thing I would recommend doing at the very least is to write a journal. Yeah, it's a good place for you to kind of write down all of those feelings and to get it out. And actually, journals can be a really good way of processing your experience. And you'll be amazed when you look back in years to come at what you've been through and actually how resilient you've been in the process. It can also be a really good way of evidence gathering, both around your own kind of mental state, your mental and emotional well-being, but also even your child, and observing things about your child which may be useful later on regarding paediatrician appointments and things like that. Finally, I would also urge anyone to reach out and get support from medical professionals. Do not leave this to brew and to build up. If you need to speak to a doctor, if you need to invest in therapy, please do so. Parenting these children is hard, and we need to be supported by those around us, including the medical community. So please do also reach out if you need to. When you do get that precious time to yourself, don't put too much pressure on yourself to do something wonderful. Often it can take a little while to kind of discover ourselves again. So just doing simple things, reading a book, going for a walk, listening to a podcast, watching a box set, anything that is going to take your mind off what you've been experiencing. If you can kind of do something which can make you laugh or feel alive again, even better.